Hi, everyone. I'm Kelvin Redd, and I want to welcome you to Define Your Destiny, where the conversations we talk about, they always center around self-awareness, understanding who you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, utilizing your strengths to overcome your weaknesses, but at a far deeper level, understanding and knowing your reason for being. And boy, do I have an outstanding guest for you today. My guest today is Amber English, the 2020 Olympic gold medalist. And Amber, welcome to Define Your Destiny.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I am so thrilled to have you here. Um, July 25th, 2021. Does that ring a bell for you?
It does. Yeah, that might have been the craziest day so far in my life.
That was the day you won the Olympic gold medal for skeet shooting.
Yes, sir, that was.
Awesome. So we're going to get to that, but I want to start off and introduce our viewers to you. And each time I have a guest, I want them to tell their story. So this is kind of like a biography, so to speak, on video. And I want to start off by tell our viewers, where did you grow up and where are you from?
Yep, so as you mentioned, my name's Amber English. I'm currently in Phoenix City, Alabama. I was stationed at Fort Benning for a while, but I grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Colorado Springs. Now, this is interesting. You're in Phoenix City, Alabama. You grew up in Colorado Springs. I want to quickly tell our viewers how we met and what have you. So, the night you won or when you won the gold medalist, I was watching the news that evening, and I'll never forget the news person said, "We've got great news out of Phoenix City. Phoenix City has an Olympic gold medalist." And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, who could that be? And so, and they talked about you, and you were a skeet shooter. And so the next morning, I'm headed out to a meeting. And as I'm coming to a stop sign at the end of my neighborhood, I look across the road because your neighborhood is across the road from mine. And I looked and I saw these balloons at this house. And I thought to myself, no, it couldn't be. And I quickly called my wife and I said, you know what? I think that Olympic gold medalist lives across the street from us, from our neighborhood. And sure enough, about 2 or 3 days later, I saw the balloons and I saw people outside your house. And I kind of pulled up and I asked the question. I said, "So what's going on here?" I said, "Does the Olympic gold medalist live here?" And they were like, "Yeah, she does." And so that's how I got the idea, finally, to get the nerve to ask you if I could interview you, because I knew you were probably swamped with other media concerns or what have you. But you also, in my research, you come from a family of shooters.
I do, yeah. My mom and dad shot competitively, and my aunt and uncle and my cousin shot. At first, growing up, I did gymnastics my whole life. I had nothing to do with it other than just being outdoorsy in Colorado and learning to shoot at a young age. We just did it kind of as a family for fun. But I didn't start competing until kind of the end of high school. So
Really?
I got a later start than everybody else.
So can you recall the first time you actually picked up a gun and started shooting? How old were you? You must have been really young.
Yeah, I think I was around six, like six. We
Whoa,
started
really?
a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we just grew up around it, and it was obviously very safe and fun activity for everybody. And my dad wanted to teach us to, respect guns and have good gun safety. So we learned from a young age and just had fun with it.
So I've always had this theory. I said that children who grow up in any industry and they're around success and greatness, for some reason, it just tends to permeate their body vicariously, and they learn so much.
Hmm.
Do you
Yeah,
think that's true?
I was super fortunate to have parents that really, let us kind of take the reins and find what we were passionate about. And they supported us through it. I also have a brother, and he played a bunch of different sports. So I don't now looking back, I have no idea how they did it between all the practices and dinner and homework and everything else. But I was pretty lucky to have the support growing up.
Awesome, awesome. Now you also mentioned gymnastics. How early did you start taking gymnastics? How were you very competitive, and why did you stop?
Yeah, I started at a really young age in gymnastics. It was a great thing. And kind of my mom, wanted us to burn off some energy. So it was a good way to do it. I did it for a really long time since I was, right around then, 5 or 6 years old. And then I stopped at the end of high school because my back wasn't going to tolerate it anymore. And
Right.
decided I wasn't going to pursue that in college. So gave it a rest and let my back heal up for about a year. And I said, you know what? I'm bored. I want to compete in something. So I started shooting then.
Nice, nice. So take us on the journey from the time you graduated from high school, and I assume college came next, and then the United States Army.
Yep, it did. So I graduated high school in 2007, and I had already been shooting a little bit towards the end, and I realized I wanted to keep up with it. Growing up in Colorado Springs, it was Olympic City, USA, as they call it now. So anytime you needed motivation or some inspiration, it was always there in town. And the Olympic Training Center is downtown in Colorado Springs as well. So I was around the Olympic Training Center and decided to stay in Colorado Springs and continue to shoot. And I went to college at the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs. So it's a branch off of CU Boulder. And it took me a while to go to school. It was pretty hard to balance shooting and training and traveling along with going to school. But I'm really thankful that I kept going.
Now, when did you decide to join the military?
So I was 27 years old when I joined. I fought it for a very long time. I was already training and traveling with a lot of the guys on the Army team. And I said, no way am I going to do that. I already went to school and I was actively working as a paramedic in Colorado, up in Denver and Woodland Park and in Colorado Springs. So, I had a healthcare background while I was shooting, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to join the Army. Well, here I am several years later. I didn't join until I was 27, but it ended up being a really good thing for me.
Nice. So now, are you a first lieutenant? Did I read that correctly?
I am. Yep. Just looking to promote to captain here pretty soon.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So you're in the Army Marksman Unit?
So I went through the World Class Athlete Program. We call it WCAP for short.
Okay.
That was out of Fort Carson, Colorado. And then I got attached to the Army Marksmanship Unit, which is what brought me down here to Fort Benning.
So how do you get attached to the?
There's lots of different ways to do it, but the World Class Athlete Program is a unit designed for soldier athletes, and they have a bunch of different sports. So, swimming, shooting, judo, wrestling, all of those different sports. Track and field is a big one. And then the Army Marksmanship Unit is just shooting related. So.
Okay. So now let's fast forward a little bit. Let's talk about the journey toward to the Olympics. What do you have to do to make the Olympic team? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so you shoot. Normally, you start as a junior and go up through the junior ranks, and you're a junior until the year of your 21st birthday. Okay. And then hopefully you start making the national team, and they usually travel 3 people of the U.S., so 3 women and 3 men. And you go around to all of the domestic and international matches in hopes of winning medals and representing the U.S. And then towards the end of a quad, so every 4 years is when we would have an Olympic Games. And then we have a series of competitions here, the Olympic trials, as everyone knows it. And they take the top 2 to go to the Olympics.
I'm curious, and for our viewers as well, you say you travel with 3. Out of how many marksmen women try out for this, for them to select 3?
There's quite a bit. I'd say, competitively and stuff, we have about 30 people that go out for it. But I shoot women's skeet. So we have trap and skeet in the international disciplines. I'm on the skeet team, and we by far have the hardest team in all of USA shooting. It is the hardest team to make.
Wow.
And we are extremely dominant overseas. And so it's a privilege and definitely an honor to even just make that Olympic team.
So you make the Olympic team, you're in the Olympics. Now, interesting. July 25th, 2021, we're coming up on the anniversary.
Yeah.
But it's the 2020 Olympics.
Yep. They decided to keep all the branding the same, and even though it was pushed by a year, they kept it as Tokyo
because of COVID. So what was that like waiting?
I was horrible. I'll be honest. Absolutely torturous and horrible. You know, it was kind of going into the unknown. I made the Olympic team it was like March 9th of 2020. So that's kind of when COVID was
Wow.
really popping off in Italy when we heard about it. We weren't sure what was going on. And then it was about a week or two later, it kind of just exploded in the US. So, you know, there was a lot of discussion about canceling the Olympics
Yep.
and stuff of that nature. So it was hard. You know, no one else had gone through that experience. So we kind of had to just roll with the punches and keep going and really stay motivated and train hard. So in hopes of one day being able to go.
Wow. What did you all get a chance to march around the stadium like we've seen traditionally?
Yeah, we did. We actually, the opening ceremonies, it didn't look like anything that they had done before.
Yeah.
So shooting is one of the first medals to be distributed at the Olympic Games. So usually we're in the middle of training, an official training or competition during the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games. So they have a way, you know, you can march around and do the longer version.
Yeah.
Which takes hours and hours, and then
Yeah.
or you can bug out kind of in the beginning.
I always wondered about that because I know that there are a lot of events. It's like, you know, as soon as it's over, it almost seems like while it's going on, it's like the first couple events begin.
Yep. Yeah. People are in there competing and stuff right when that's going on. So it's a lot of busyness and movement going on.
So just one final question on that before I get to the next part of this. So you're in the ceremony, you're walking around the stadium or the track or what have you. How do you keep your attention, your focus during that time?
You know, I really tried extremely hard to just take the Olympic rings out of that experience, and I just told myself, like, you know, wow, look at this range. Like, that's a really pretty range for Fort Benning, or, you know what I mean? I just always tried to tie it back to being home, and the weather was super hot and muggy, like we're used to here. So that wasn't any different. And I just really tried to take the Olympic rings out of it.
Okay. Well, now I'm a leadership coach and I specialize with helping people get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. And I focus a great deal on self-awareness, but a part of that piece, I also focus on productivity. I try to show my clients how to get the most out of their energy. Now, as a part of that productivity, as I speak to you, when I think of skeet shooting, the first thing that comes to mind is like tremendous focus. Like you got to be really, really locked in. It's I equate it to like a basketball player in a big game with 2 or 3 seconds to go, and he or she has to shoot 2 free throws to win the game, or you're putting for an eagle when the match is on the line, like Steph Curry did the other day, or you got to kick a field goal with about 2 or 3 seconds to go, and the whole world is watching. How do you maintain such tremendous focus with a gun in your hand without getting nervous?
Oh, that was the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life. So we had a 2-day event. And so you have to sleep on it. And we're used to doing that in the United States when we're competing. So that part was good. But that was by far the most sickening feeling I have ever had in my life. I remember just stepping up to the first station and I was like visibly shaking. I could feel it. And that was at that moment, I just had to talk with myself like, okay, well, you know, I can be happy to be here, or I can win this thing. And what is it going to take to do this? So I walked off and asked my coach, I said, could you see me shaking up there? And he's like, no, you couldn't. I'm like, I was shaking so bad. I just was like, okay, I guess we're just going to shoot the match shaking.
So you're just like the rest of us.
Oh, yeah. It was terrifying. Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of the motivational speaker, Eric Thomas, but I was in the same room with him and they asked us to get up and speak or what have you. And they handed me the mic. No, I was second to speak. The first person spoke a long time. Just as they were about to give me the microphone, another person interjected. So I had to wait again. And as I sat there, my heart started beating so fast. And I was like, dude, get a grip. You've spoken in front of thousands of people. Why are you so nervous? So to actually hear, and my mouth dried up too, and that's
Oh
not good
yeah.
for a speaker. So that's actually that actually makes me feel good
Oh
that
yeah.
I'm not the only one, who tries to perform at a high level, experiences those kinds of challenges. Another part, let me ask you a question about your eyes. Like, do you have like 20/20 vision?
I do. Yeah, I'm sure it's worse now. I haven't even checked it lately, but yeah, I had 2020, it's or 2015 then.
Okay,
And yeah, but there's a lot of people who don't have vision like that, and they have prescription glasses and stuff like that, shooting glasses.
really.
Yeah, you can.
So I'm curious. So if something, we're in the deep south, so if something flew in your eye or something, do you panic? Do you like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this?
Yeah, I mean, you could pause and get your life together for a second if you had to, but yeah.
Okay, I always wanted to notice that. Where do shooting events take place, and is there a skeet shooting season, or is it year round?
So we used to have a season, and we would kind of, shooting is a summer sport. So we were usually starting kind of early spring and until, September, October time. Now, there's so many changes with everything overseas. It feels like a year round sport. So we're shooting in everything cold, rain or shine or snow, or
Really?
the only thing we don't shoot in is lightning. So,
Okay.
but there's a ton of matches overseas. Some of our biggest competitors are is the Italian team, and everywhere over in Europe. We go to Korea a lot more now. There's some Middle Eastern countries. Been to China. So we're kind of all over the map with that. And in the U.S., we have a few, a handful of ranges that we go and compete at. One is Tucson, Arizona. They're building another range in Florida, which will be very nice. So
Mhm, mhm,
we
mhm.
can go there in the winter, and yeah, there's a few different places.
Well, from time to time, I get a chance to speak to other athletes, football and basketball players, and I wanted to ask you the question, like, what is your routine like? What do you have what is your routine?
I will say that that routine has changed a lot after the
Okay.
Olympics. It's been hard to kind of find a routine because everything is different. I feel like once I made that goal, I had to come back and figure out what was next, and what does it take for me to get that feeling back. Just the hardcore motivation and stuff of that nature. So that's been a work in progress for sure. Back then, when I was getting ready for Tokyo, I would wake up and eat breakfast and go to the range and shoot for several hours through the day there on Fort Benning. And then I would normally save all the PT and physical stuff later in the afternoon, so it wouldn't really affect my training. I've done a whole bunch of different routines over the years, and it's changed. But that's kind of what worked for me towards the end.
So that's the physical aspects of it. What about mentally? What do you do to prepare for competition for the Olympics? What do you do mentally?
So that was tough going through COVID and just that roller coaster ride. All of our or most of our matches that we would have before the Olympics got canceled. So it was tough to train, and then we really felt like we had no way to test that how our training was going. So I just came up with other stuff with the guys, and we shot little mock matches every week, usually Thursday and Friday. And
Mhm.
then mentally, I had to be able to ask myself or answer myself when I asked, did I train hard enough today?
Okay,
Did
I
I
like
did
that.
I do everything that I could have done today? And if I could answer yes, then okay. If not, then I have work to do tomorrow. More
What was
work.
the prevailing answer?
Yeah, every time. I worked extremely hard. I shot a lot, and I prepared myself extremely well. So when I got to the games, there was no doubt in my mind that I was more ready than I've ever been for anything. So I was
Well, you
able to really believe it too.
you say you shoot a lot do you shoot every day?
I was, yeah, leading up to the games, I definitely was shooting every day. And then we would, the ranges were closed on Saturday and Sunday on Fort Benning. So occasionally we would go somewhere else and shoot on the weekends, or just use that down recovery time.
So not being an aficionado in skeet shooting, Every time I say shoot, I'm sorry, but I do think about basketball.
Oh, yeah.
About how many shots a day do you take when you're
Yeah.
training?
So the competition's it's more of a sprint and instead of a marathon. But we leading up to the games on average, I was probably shooting 500 shells a day.
That's exactly what
And
I
then,
wrote down.
we would have a mock match towards the end of the week. So it would go from really quantity down to quality. And I would only shoot like 75 on Thursday. And I would have to put my gun away regardless of how it worked out. And then I'd come back and shoot 50 Friday morning and see where I was. And we'd shoot a little mock final. And then I could train after that on Friday if I wanted to.
Well, do you work out? What about physical conditioning?
Yeah, so that's changed too. Obviously, the older we get, things change, and
Don't I
yeah,
know?
yeah. Just I tried really hard to still move and keep up with the requirements of being a soldier.
Oh,
But
that's right.
when I was shooting a lot as well, it's hard to be extremely sore and then get 100% good training as
Mm,
well. So it's
great
kind of
point.
just functional fitness at that point, and whatever would keep, the standards for the Army and go from there.
Well, Amber, I'm curious. Does technology play a role in skeet shooting? And if so, how?
We have our guns that are very, very custom for us. And so there's weight and balance and stuff like that. We have very specific shells that we have to use. So a
Mhm.
lot of those things aren't changing right now. No.
Okay. Well, our guest here on Define Your Destiny is Amber English, 2020 Olympic gold medalist. Other question I had for you, I was really curious about, do you sleep well the night before an event, especially during the Olympics? Did you rest well
No,
before?
no, not at all. No, I was a total spaz. And, you just have to shut your eyes. And like I said, when your head's racing and stuff, and genuinely believe that I put the work into this. And so, that wouldn't be the first time I've shot tired. So we'll just deal with it when it comes.
Okay, okay. So how long after winning the gold medal was it before you actually picked up a gun again and started back shooting?
Oh, after I got back from the games, we had a match probably, oh, it's hard to remember, maybe a month later. So
Really?
yeah, I took a lot of time off and I shot that match right after. We had a
Okay.
national championships up in Michigan. And
Uh-huh.
then after that, I definitely put the gun down for a while.
Okay, okay. So now I want to conclude things by talking about self-awareness. And self-awareness to me, I think self-awareness is what separates good athletes from great athletes, good companies from great companies, from average to being good as you try to maneuver through that. Do you set goals?
I do. Yep. I'm a firm believer in goal setting. And I think, you need to learn the difference between short term and long term goals and what it takes to get both. And, it was really important to me every week getting ready for the Olympics to have little wins, because little
Mm,
wins turn into big wins. And so, you have to reward yourself for hard work, but also, know how to buckle down and get it done.
do you ever just set aside time at any given point in the year to like at the end of the year set your goals for the following year or reflect and see how did you do the previous year?
No, I can do that on a daily basis and
Okay.
shift things as I need to. But I definitely enjoy my downtime just like anybody else.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to also have fun and work hard. So if it's not fun, and we definitely need a break from things that take our mind pretty hardcore races. But yeah, I enjoy a downtime too.
So how long is time away for you? Like what does that look like?
So, I at first just stopped shooting there for a while because I wasn't sure if I was going to come back. And, I had it in my head that this was my final goal. I originally was going to be done shooting in 2016. And here I am several years later.
Okay.
Um, so, I took a lot of time off. And then I realized last year, like, man, there's still maybe some unfinished business there again. I can give it one more go. And so I picked up the gun last year again, pretty hard. So,
So does this I mean it sounds like you're going to go after the 2024 Olympics as well.
yep, I'm trying. Like I said, it's a tough team to make. So I know I definitely have my work cut out for me. But it really comes down to the second part of trials, and that's when the nerves and everything and the pressure hits everybody. And I think just having that experience and pushing through before will definitely help me moving forward.
Amber, when's the last time you lost?
Oh, you lose all the time. It is, you get the outcome that you put into it. And so, me not shooting as hard as I should have before,
Uh-huh.
I had to kind of reevaluate my expectations. But I definitely still enjoy it. And so that's the most important part.
So how do you handle losing?
It's a teachable moment.
Mm.
I have lost a lot more than I've won, and that's, it's kind of use it as a lesson and how to move forward and get better next time.
Is your sport stressful?
Yes.
And how do you handle that stress? I mean, you've talked about, not being overly consumed with it and taking time away. How do you handle that stress?
You just gotta enjoy the journey and ride the wave and get through it. And everything that I'm feeling, everybody else is feeling too. So I kind of look at that anxiousness and nervousness and stress is just really your body letting you know that it's the will to win. So if you're feeling all those things, it's because it means something to you, and you should just try to enjoy the moment.
Nice, nice. Do you practice visualization?
I do. Yep. I do it a lot. And especially at a competition, I can do it while I'm on the range when other people are shooting as well. So,
Okay, hold on. Pause for a second. What does that look like? I mean, talk to us. I want to hear this.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just putting yourself in that situation where you're executing things in the best possible way. So for me, it would be like visioning, targets breaking and me making a perfect move, and just targets breaking how I want to see it.
Uh-huh.
And leading up to the games, you could be taking a shower or hanging out on the couch or something, and just kind of put yourself put yourself there where you're standing on top of the podium and hearing the national anthem and doing all that. So
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. I can't wait for my viewers to see this, because we have a whole workshop called Fostering Innovation, and we talk about
Mhm.
visualization. Let me backtrack just a little. So at a competition, all this stuff is going on outside you. You mean to tell me you can just kind of lock in
Mhm.
and start visualizing?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll do
Wow.
it during the match, and you can do it with your eyes open. It's just you practice something long enough, no one even knows that that's what you're doing. So, yeah.
Well, now you've had tremendous success, tremendous success. How do you stay grounded?
Oh, I mean, yeah, like you said, having goals and continuing to work hard and find new goals.
And I asked that question because we're in the middle of, well, we're about to start football season, and I was watching the SEC media days, and they were asking Kirby Smart, Georgia's football coach, like, how do you repeat? And he said basically the same thing Nick Saban used to say, his mentor. But we got to get to the point where we're not complacent.
Hmm. Yep.
I'm going to assume that complacency is not a challenge of yours.
No, no. I mean, if you're not working hard, someone else is to take your spot. So if you want to give it away, you can give it away. If not, then you're going to work hard and do it yourself.
Well, Amber, I have one final question for you. How do you define success?
Oh, that is a good question. I would say I define success as something that, you reaching your goals, whatever that may be, and just reaching goals and whatever that looks like for you.
In doing my research, I recall you saying how approachable you are. And I'm thinking to myself, you have been very approachable, and
Yeah,
thank you so much.
no
I
problem.
really want to thank you for coming on and taking about 30 minutes to talk about your experiences uh, in productivity, your experiences at the Olympics. I'm very grateful. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. Any chance I can get to even just share my story, or hopefully someone can learn something from it and work hard for their own goals. And I really do believe you can do anything you want to do. You just got to put the effort and hard work into it.
Well, it has been such a pleasure. Amber English, the 2020 Olympic gold medalist, joining us here in Define Your Destiny. Join us next time. Until then, I'm Kelvin Redd. Define your destiny.
Thank you.